Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Virginia Minority Business Development Agency's Business Center monthly webinar. It is my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of our president, Sharon R. Pender, who is the president and CEO of Capital Region Minority Supply Development Council, located in Silver Springs, Maryland. And we run on behalf of the United States Department of Commerce's Minority Business Development Agency, one of the 50 business centers that are across the United States, pretty much located one in every state to include Puerto Rico, that provides technical assistance to minority businesses in the areas of access to capital, access to contracts, access to those people that have what I call the mission and the money, and also assist with helping companies with their management, their financial and technical operational functions. Today, what we bring to you is a webinar focused on our veterans. We began this back in November of 2019, and we've had one consistently every year, to include during COVID, where we highlight the veteran community. And today I have with me three veterans. One, James Lloyd, who is a senior small business professional for the Department of the Army, and one of his portfolios is veteran businesses. And then we have Mr. Charles Lambert, a service-disabled veteran that will share with us his experiences as he has built his business, and also Mr. Samuel Brown, two of our service-disabled veterans. And this is the first time we've actually highlighted businesses on this. Typically, what we've had is federal agencies that would come and talk about their programs that are focused on our service-disabled veterans. So I will ask all three gentlemen to come on the screen. And I promised them earlier that I would not eulogize them, that what they would do is when their turns come, they will tell you about themselves and then share a little bit about their organizations. And then we've got some questions that we've developed to work through this fireside chat. And then we'll take questions from the audience. There's you can put your questions in the chat, and then Ms. Claudia Barrera and Ms. Alice Williams, at some point in here, we will open that floor up and try to answer your questions. So again, welcome, and thanks for coming, and we look forward to talking with you. So Mr. Lloyd, if you would begin, we greatly appreciate it.
Yes, good afternoon to all, and thank you, Mr. Marks, for the invitation and the opportunity to participate in this webinar dedicated to our veteran business owners. And I would also like to say thank you all, veteran business owners, or those that have served, for your service, and wish you a very special Veterans Day. As Mr. Marks mentioned, I'm James Lloyd, and I'm the small business program manager for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, as well as Hub Zone within the Army Office of Small Business Programs. The Army Office Small Business Program, or OSBP, is responsible for advocating for the Army doing more business with small business, and that's across all socioeconomic categories. They also try to provide advice to the Secretary of the Army, as well as all the Army senior leadership and everything, all small business matters, and also contribute to the expanding of small business industrial base. For those that have not done business with the Army, I'd just like to say we have 5 major buying commands, and that's where the actual execution or contract execution is done. And each command has a cadre of small business professionals that work with the contracting team to advocate on requirements, taking a look at going to small business if it so warrants. I'll stop there and stand by for questions. Thank you.
Mr. Lambert. You're still on mute, Mr. Lambert.
My apologies. Good morning, Mr. Marks, and thank you for the invitation to bringing us on to this wonderful day and weekend that we have coming up. And thanks to Mr. Lord for the invitation, giving us a chance to talk about ourselves and letting other business owners to hear a little bit from us as we are in the marketplace and have served time in the Army and now still supporting the warfighter. I started my business after the Army and after working for agencies such as DISA and Department of the Army, and then moving to uh, the large industry, SASC, CSC, and those alike. And in 2006, after serving over with DHS and CBP, I decided to launch my own business. And I had a host of the larger integrators to support me. CSC did, IBM, and Lockheed, all three came together to ensure that I was successful from the beginning. At the same time, of course, I've known Mr. Lord for a while. He gave me some guidance on how to introduce myself in the very early stages and what to look for in large businesses and the relationship they're alike. So in our years, we have been successful and a lot do with Mr. Lloyd being there for us for every turn and whenever I had questions. So I will, and 17 years later, I'm still here and I'm still calling him and he's still willing to take some time for me and speak with me. And so I will stop here and wait for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lambert. So,
Mhm.
Mr. Brown.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Brown. I'm the owner of PacketX. We're an IT company that is based out of Hanahan, South Carolina. But before I go in a little bit more on about PacketX and myself, just want to again echo the sentiments of Mr. Lambert here and thanking Mr. Marks and Mr. Lloyd for having us on here. So a little bit about myself. I am again Samuel Brown. I've been in the military for 27 years. 3 of those was active. Spent 2 vacations over there in Afghanistan, getting to know the terrain and the people, also the IT network over there. But PacketX is again an IT-based company. Our main focus is doing items such as hardware, software procurement, also integration, troubleshooting, design of the networks from the ground up, and also MSP, so managing people's and companies' networks. Like I said, we're based out of Hanahan. We're just a hop, skip, and jump away from the NIWIC headquarters down there, and we work very closely with Carter Lambert in a unofficial, capacity. Carter Lambert is our mentor. Has helped us immensely in a lot of things that we've been working toward, prevented us from running into creating issues that we weren't aware of that we were able to quickly get out of, if you will, and helped us grow. And when I say grow, working with a very good qualified mentor has gotten us, over $1.2 million in the past few years, just working with a good mentor. So with that said, having a great mentor in such as Carter Lambert Division has been very immense in our success in terms of building PacketX. If you're going to maintain and work in this business, one of the things that you really need to understand is working with your peers, working with someone that knows how to work with you. And as Mr. Lambert mentioned, working with Mr. Lloyd, he has been so gracious to work with us in terms of growing our business and getting ourselves better. One of the things I like to also add to this is being just proactive, being very diligent, and being very determined and going into whatever it is that you want to focus in, such as you looking at a contract, please, please, please read everything pertaining to that contract. Last thing you want to do is get caught in something which you could have easily got out of or prevented from happening if you just would have read the contract. We've been in business since 2011. December 2011, and we've supported a lot of organizations. The VA is one of them, and a lot of other government agencies in terms of state level and also on the private level. So with that, that's all I have on as far as introducing myself.
Well, thank you very much. So we're going to jump right into first questions. I'd ask all the panelists to come on the screen at this time, and we all will remain on screen. The first question we have will goes to Mr. Lloyd. So James, as the program manager for the Army's Service Disabled Veteran-owned programs, what are some of the initiatives that the Army has put in place to work your program?
Can you hear me?
No, I think he's having a little technical difficulty. So what I want to do is I'm gonna go to Mr. Lambert while and by the way, so Mr. Lloyd and I are traveling together. We're sitting in the USO at the Orlando International Airport. So if you hear the kids in the background, just smile. Okay. So Mr. Lambert, as a service disabled veteran, tell us your successes with the Service Disabled Veteran Program, and give us a few pointers on those successes and things that you could have done better to improve your success.
Okay. Well, the first thing was the communication with Mr. Lloyd, as I said, in 2006 when I launched the business. Right away, we did not start off with the Army program. We started off with James Lloyd teaching us. So he is the program to me. And in 2006, getting that first wave of contracts through Department of Homeland Security, CBP, it was, as he had told me, build the relationships. And we built the relationships there that grew us and kept us growing until we got to 2012 and 2013, when the large primes started making focus and changes. And of course, DHS, in this business, you're going to lose contract, win contracts in there. So in 2013 and 14 and 15, when things was lean, I leaned on Mr. Lloyd to give me guidance and help me. And of course, he put me in touch with the right people. And right after that, we received a contract where I became the senior VP for another small service disabled vet company, helped them grow. And then in turn, that service disabled vet helped me. And after that, we did work with Huntington Ingalls, where we were CCOM, RDECOM, and pretty much everything at Aberdeen. From there, we received another contract again because Mr. Lloyd guidance. We were able to get on Unitas 19. Unitas 19 covered the southern continent of the globe. And we supported the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Army Special Forces teams. We supported the medical staff or the comfort ship, from buying them food to communication equipment to transportation and unloading aircraft. So we performed those tasks. And like today, the pointers that I would give after stating those things, and so y'all can hear that we're now located in Waldorf, Maryland as our headquarters. We have an office in Honolulu, Hawaii. we have an office in Hanahan, South Carolina, where my young protege is down there. And we are continuously doing good things. But the pointers that was given to me by Mr. Lloyd and others in the DoD market and the industry leaders was take your eyes off yourself. The minute you stop thinking about yourself and willing to give a hand to someone else, that's when you become successful. So keep that in mind. Don't turn your back on everybody. Some people you can help, some people you can't. That's a given. But always remember that there are those out here who's willing to support you and go on even at no cost. Um, like Sam said, I'm his mentor. I give Sam education. I give him that thing that's more valuable than just giving him money to go out and spend. I give him the direction. When he get into a hot spot, I helps him out. So what you do is just remember that, and that's the pointers that I would like to give. And remember, the relationships are important. And when you're working with a large business, do not go around that large business integrator. Always remember they giving you that opportunity. When they give it to me, I build the business. I go out, they let me go out. I speak directly to the government for on their behalf. And we win more business that way. I love filling my pockets as a sub. I like it as a prime. And if you take those relationships and for granted, um, you just lost business. So those are the pointers that I would give. Those the exciting growth that we're having, and we're having more growth. I just moved to a larger office space, so where we lost the contract, we gain more. Okay, so always remember, don't get so deep in the weeds where you think it's all about you. Make it about someone else and make it about a team. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. And lean on Mr. Lloyd. Out of that office at the Army Program Office, him and the other staff members, I mean, all he do is give me phone numbers. He don't give me a contract to get on. He just give me the phone number and said, call these people. They may be able to give you something. They may be able to help you. Okay. But there's no promise there. And I don't expect him to make a call and say, this guy's great, all of this stuff. No. He give me a number so that I can call, introduce myself, and let us drive the way. Now, if they call him and say, do you know Charles Lambert? Of course, I'm hoping that he'll give me some accolades along the way. But otherwise, use that office. Use that office of small business. It works. Okay. And the Apex teams and the minority business unit here that you were part of today that you was invited to come to, use them. It all works. We're a team. That's the way I look at it, and going to keep looking at it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Great comments. Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
I got to give you a question, Don.
Yes, sir.
So describe your advantages being a service-disabled veteran, and whether doing business with the Army or any other agency for that matter, and what tips you would give MBEs so that they too can prosper.
So the word advantage I wouldn't like to use, but I would like to say opportunities. The opportunity that it affords me is first and foremost being able to work with my peers, whether or not we're working for the same company or we're working for different companies. My peers is who I'm working against or with in order to win this contract. I don't have to compete against a big company like SAIC or Booz Allen Hamilton or anything like that for contracts, which gives me again the opportunity to showcase what Packet X can do for the government. Case in point, one of the contracts that I was bidding on, Mr. Lambert helped me with that one in terms of make sure that I had my I's dotted and T's crossed. the contractor sent out information, and it turned out that people that was bidding on it decided they didn't want to bid on it all of a sudden, which left me to bid on it and win it. So with that said, if it was going against a large company such as a SAIC or whatever, I wouldn't even have a chance to win. So, or even compete, because, you know, the name recognition is one thing. So you got to build real name recognition out here to build up the company. So again, this the opportunity again to work in a smaller pool with people that are going for the same thing, which is winning a contract. But as a number of people or companies out there that's going after this contract, they may not do the same thing as you do. Again, we're IT. We do hardware. We do software in terms of selling it. We do managing. So providing laptops and stuff, a lot of companies don't do that. They just rather create applications. So that automatically disqualifies them, which again made it easier for us to win a contract. The second advantage that it gives us is being able to work with other, or I should say, opportunity to work with other SDVOSBs, because we all understand that, hey, we can't take on a $3, $4, $5, $20 million contract by ourselves. But we understand if we come together as a team, as when we was doing active duty, hey, guess what? We can pull together and win a contract. So another example I like to use is this. Working with a group of SDVOSBs, we went after a contract, and unfortunately, we didn't win it. But we all came together. We all did our parts to bid on this contract. And this is where I was introduced to Mr. Lambert. And listening to Mr. Lambert, hey, and when I say we, I'm talking about everybody that stuck around on this contract. We learned how to respond properly to a contract, understood what they was asking us. They're not asking us, can you provide 5 widgets? Well, yes, I can provide 5 widgets. The question really is, how can you provide these 5 widgets to us in a timely manner? Oh, okay, well, that's how I would do that. And I will say this, Mr. Lambert did put me to the ringer when I first met him, to make sure that, one, I was worthy of being a protege, but proving that I am willing to listen, learn, and follow directions in terms of, hey, you really need to read that contract, has saved me in more ways than one. The other example I like to throw in there is this. The contracts that I've won in terms of the government, the state governments dealing with the commercial side of the house, listening to, again, Mr. Lambert telling me, hey, did you read this? Because I don't think you read that. That helped me out. He was able to direct me in certain ways to where we wouldn't run into issues where it would cause the business to close. So finding a good mentor would be the first and most important thing I would say to anybody getting to this that's looking. And I don't care if you're making $2 million, $4 million, $8 million. Hey, there's somebody out there that can teach you to get to that next level where you can start making $20 to $30 to $40 million a year. Again, as I stated originally, Mr. Lambert, working with him for the past few years, we've done over $1.2 million in deals with not only with the government, state government, but also commercial side of the house. So what would I tell MBE in terms of tips of getting yourself out there? Sign up for the DDE program as far as your state, DOT. If they have anything that you can register for, do it. If there's anything that you can register for in terms of the government, do it. The thing is, you have to get your business name out there, show your face whenever you possibly can. But in the same breath, be very focused on who you're going after. You don't want to go after the Army and the Navy and the Marines and the Air Force, and you're a small shop. You can't show up for all the meetings. By the time you leave the meeting, they forgot about you. But if you're being very consistent and persistent going to those meetings, then guess what? Oh, yeah, I've seen Samuel. I heard of Packet X. Let's give him a chance. Or, hey, look, we need a small business. Get in contact with this large company. Tell them to call that small business. and have them to go out there and do the work. Again, I'm gonna go back to the same thing I said before. Get you a good mentor. I actually wrote a book a few years ago about how not to do business. And one of the things I put in there was finding a good mentor. Unfortunately, I had I should say, displeasure of having a very bad mentor. But now I'm very appreciative of running into Mr. Lambert, because now I know what a very good mentor can do and help me. One of the things, the last thing I'll just bring up is this. I don't pay Mr. Lambert any money for his services, but he has given me thousands upon thousands of dollars of experience, knowledge, and documentation that I would take months, years to build and learn on my own. But because we worked together before in terms of the mentor protege, when I need services such as transportation of equipment from point A to point B, I hire Mr. Lambert, and his company is the one that actually does everything. So I'm not coming out of pocket to pay him. It's the client that's coming out of pocket to pay him to do the work that I need done to help them be successful and help us be successful for the completion of the contract. So do your homework, ensure that you find a good mentor, and that you do everything you possibly can in order to make yourself successful, and look at trying to help the next person. You can't help everybody, but who knows, that person that you help out will be the person that can help you win in the very next contract.
Right. Thanks very much. Now, and before we move on, I'll reiterate, actually share some points that I wrote down. Mr. Lambert talked about, and these are all keys to success, and I hear them every day as I open my doors each day and provide consultation to businesses. You know, you can be the smartest one out there. You can have what you think is the greatest widget, but in this business, relationships probably more than anything else. And we just spent 3 days here at the Veteran Administration Small Business Conference. It's all about relationships, and establishing the right ones and then maintaining them. And then clearly, on average, no small business can do all the work by themselves, especially the way the government does work today. You know, under category management, we know we lived through, I know Mr. Lambert had with 17 years on his belt, strategic sourcing, and now category management. No, by the way, strategic sourcing did not go away, right? It's category management is just another step up. And so you've got to be able to team. And in fact, all federal agencies today will tell you teaming is something that they look for, because the way it decides those requirements. And there's enough out there for everybody to get a piece of that pie. What was really interesting to Mr. Brown is that, look, if you don't understand the requirement, you already missed the boat. And when you kept talking about, read that contract, well, reading the contract is really understanding what the requirement really is, because most of the time the government, and I served a number of years in it, we don't really know what we want to start with when you start putting it down on paper. So if you can help them with a solution, and that's the way you ought to attack it, that you come to the table with a solution in order to help solve their problems. If you can do that, then I know you'll be successful. So DBE, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, Department of Transportation actually is the owner of that, but that training is pushed down, as Mr. Brown talked about, down to the state level, and it's a key certification that a lot of folks don't understand and don't know about. But if you follow the Department of Transportation, which got 50% of the $1 trillion that came out of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, 500 million went to Department of Transportation. Now, that's not at the headquarters level. That's pushed down to the 50 states and territories, to transportation agencies that's where that money is. That's federal money, and they have to abide by federal rules when they're awarding, fixing those highways, those bridges, and many other things that they do. So if you have not put that on your plate, it's something that you want to consider and contact your state DOT. Okay, so I'm gonna move to Mr. Lloyd since he's fixed all his technical issues, we believe, and we're gonna ask him, James, as the program manager for the Army's program, share with us initiatives that the Army has in place.
Okay, I can do that, but before I do, I'd say thanks to Mr. Lambert for them accolades, but please understand, he did the work. I just provided some direction. So as you think about calling, understand, you've got to do some homework too.
That's right.
So some of the initiatives, one of the things I put on my calendar, on my table to do for this fiscal year is do more in-person outreach. COVID kind of shut us down, and we did a lot of virtual, and which was fine. We were able to keep moving. But like Mr. Marks talked about, the Veterans Small Business Engagement event that we attended this week was the first step in that initiative to go out and meet the veteran and hub zone small businesses where they are, put face to face and press flesh. So that's one of the things I plan on doing. A second thing along those same lines is reconnecting with the service and veteran service and organization. I think that's where, from my perspective, I get an opportunity to learn what the word on the street is, how we are doing as an Army Small Business program in impacting veteran-owned companies and understanding how to do business with the Army. So if you're not a member of any of those, you might want to consider that, because just like was mentioned earlier, that's also information that you can share and where you can meet other situated companies to partner with. The other thing is that we're doing in the Army OSBP is we host a bi-monthly webinar, and every 2 months we'll think of a different topic that helps that provide updates, whether it's acquisition processes or changes in the federal government contracting arena, or if we have a guest speaker that we think would be interesting to the community. And excuse me, this is not just specific to veteran-owned, but it also encompasses all the socioeconomic categories. We think that information about doing business with the federal government, most specifically with the Army. And I'll stop there.
Let's check the questions in the chat. Claudia, Alice, any questions in the chat?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. The first question is from Ebony Bonds, and I think it's directed to Mr. Lambert, but I think Mr. Lambert and Mr. Brown, you both can address it. What is the best method to finding mentors who are let me start over. What is the best method to finding mentors who are actually willing to assist?
I'll start it off. First thing is, who do you know? Who do you know that's successful, that you have known for a while, or you sitting in a meeting like I met with Sam, and I told everyone, what it takes to win business and what it takes for me to support them. Sam was the only one stood out. Okay. He was the one that when we hung up a day later, he called me. So you want to look for someone that you have heard that you will call or write to and say, I will help. That, you know, ask for directions. Ask, what do you think? And see if the interest is there, because this thing is about both of you. Once I, excuse me, once I start working with someone, I give them the run, you know, and if they don't meet the willingness to do things for themselves, because like Mr. Lloyd said, he can give me directions. It's up to me to do the work. And just like I told Sam, it's up to him to do the work. So to find a good mentor, find someone that's willing to listen to you. You find a person that's willing to listen to you and work with you, then you got yourself a good mentor. But you got to ask, will you be my mentor?
Thanks very much.
And and just to build off that, if you don't mind, you have to make that initial phone call, because believe it or not, there are a lot of people out there looking for people to mentor, but they're not just going to walk up on the first person, say, hey, are you looking for a mentor? No, it's up to you. You got to be the one that's willing to put in the time and effort. If you're not willing to do that, then you're not only wasting that mentor's time, you just destroyed the chances of somebody else getting somebody that would be more than willing to help them out. So make sure that you make that call, be consistent. And I will say this, I have multiple mentors, and they all have different goals. But I don't call my mentors just to waste their time to see how they're doing. Charles, we are great friends now, so I will call and say, hey, how you doing? But I call my mentors, I get right to the point, because a few of them run multi-million-dollar corporations. So the last thing you want to do is waste their time talking about, oh, I saw somebody walking down the street with short pants on. Who cares? Hey, I saw somebody walking down the street with short pants that had a special saying. I think that can be a good a good marketing employee. Oh, well, great. Now you have a conversation. So take the time to look for that person. And the last thing I add is, if the person start from my perspective, if the person start asking you for money up front to be a mentor, you might want to rethink that.
That's definitely a good ending note, because now that's not a mentor, that's a consultant.
Mhm.
Okay, Alice.
Yes, thank you so much. Next question, I believe you have already answered, but you may want to just reiterate some things, and then I'll go to third question. Say, how do you initiate contact with the organizations to begin building those relationships? I think you both addressed that. If you want to add something else, I'll go to the next question. Okay, the next question is, what is the best route to go about building partnerships, business consortiums, let's see, business consortiums with other small businesses for bid opportunities? Do I need to repeat that?
No, because you're talking about putting teams together.
Yes, sir.
You're building partnerships, you put in teams together. You in one of the best organizations right now to get help with building teams. You need guidance. So the Minority Business Development Center, call them and ask them, how do you do it? Call Apex, ask them how you do it. Those people give you training for free. You know, I would, the way I build teams, so y'all will know, the way I build teams is I look for the people that's in my circle that know what they are doing in those certain areas. Sam is not a team member on everything because I know his capabilities. But after we get started and get going, going down the line, I would bring Sam in as a consultant. I will, because I want to continue to teach him, because he is, by the way, my protege. So I bring him closer to me. But building a team, you have to go and learn the processes. And these government organizations that does it, I mean, they're willing to help. I mean, you in one right now. You at the organization. You got the leader of one sitting right there with you. Go and have a conversation with his organization. Pick up the phone and call the MBDA, the Apex. They will help you with the teaming. And then, of course, when you find a good mentor, we, of course, will continue to train you on how to build a team.
Okay, any others, Alice?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The next question is from Mr. Felipe Wright, and he's asking the panelists to please provide their contact information. And I think Claudia can actually put that in the chat, but they would like to have the panelists' contact information. This individual is in the emerging market and recycling electronics and metals business. The next question I have is, can Mr. Lloyd give his contact information and instructions on registering for the monthly webinars hosted?
Yes. So it's James.C as in Charlie, Lloyd, that's LLOYD, the number 20.civ@army.mil. But what I would say is the best way to reach out to me is through our Army OSBP website, and that link is osbp.army.mil. Couple of things, and it's I think it's important to understand. Going to our website, a couple of things that we have on there is under our resources. The first link, it's a drop-down menu. The first link you come to is their long-range acquisition forecast. As I mentioned earlier, we have 5 major buying commands, and each command will have their acquisition forecast listed. The current forecast that's up there right now was updated in May of this year. The commands should be submitting updated information by December. So that gives you an opportunity to go out and see what the Army is buying and which command is buying what. Because I think Mr. Lambert mentioned earlier today, as you start marketing to federal agencies, you got to know what it is that they're buying. And if they're not buying what you're selling, you need to figure out who will purchase in that type of product or service. So that's important. Secondly, there's a how to contact us. That also is a drop-down menu, and it says vendor feedback. So you click on that and put your information in, and the information about what it is that you're requesting or who you think you want to meet with. Okay. We also have a listing of calendar of events where members, to include the director, will be speaking. That gives you an opportunity to find out how to market to the Army and some of the things that we're planning on doing. So, Grant, I don't have a problem with responding to emails or phone calls, but using our website also helps us to track all the inquiries that comes in.
Mr.
Okay.
Lloyd, is how you register for your webinars as well?
Right. So once the webinars come out, once we set them up, we'll do an email blast, not an email blast, but we'll put them out through sam.gov so that you can go out and register for them.
And if I could, I would just say that most of the federal agencies, and they're doing a lot of events, they actually put them on sam.gov. So so it's not just search for requirements, but you can search for training opportunities that are free to attend via webinar or even in person. So as you checking SAMs out for requirements, you can also check it out for event opportunities. Okay, Alice, any other questions?
Yes.
In
One more question. Thank you so
Okay.
much. This question is from Mr. James Rockmore, and this question probably could be answered by Mr. Lambert and Mr. Brown, but the question is, kindly speaking, what is your opinion about mentor protege programs, MPP, and what is your recommendation of finding MPP prime mentors?
Well, again, it's about who in that large integrated community that you know. because large business is not going to come knock on your door and say, I'm going to be your mentor. Okay. If you are friends, not even friends, but if you have a subcontract with SAIC, approach the program manager at SAIC. He would then talk to you about how to become a mentor protege. On their website, the information is posted as well on how you sign up and how they accept mentor proteges. They hold training about how do you become a mentor protege, a protege to them. And that's SASC, GDIT, Deloitte, good Lord, all of them. All of those companies will tell you how to become a protege to them. In my case, I have not registered in for the SBA All Smalls Mentor Proteges. I do it based on a person to person thing. I've been around a long time. I got a lot of knowledge to give, but I don't accept a host of small businesses. I don't have the time. I'm a small business as well. But when Sam, as I told him, eventually he's going to graduate from me, and we're going to talk once every quarter instead once every month or every other week about opportunities in business and him staying on as my protege. Sam will always be my friend and protege as he has become, and I will always be there to help him because I don't have to turn them loose like the 3 years that you have in the mentor protege program officially. Okay, I can continue on, but uh, the program, as far as the government, once you get a large business to say yes, just remember now they're the leader because you're married to them, and the protege format of that is for you to listen and not be the guy that's giving the direction or the girl that's giving the direction. Because if you're not going to listen, that mentor would most likely won't help you, and you would just waste a lot of time. Okay.
All right. So what I would add to about the Mentor Project program, I think both SBA and DoD have come together as collaborative partners. In fact, I think it was just this past October, I may have the month wrong, where they had the major DoD SBA Mentor Protege conference in Baltimore. Or was at the training conference. But so if you're really interested in Mentor Protege, DoD has theirs. You can go to DoD's website. Department of Defense is run by their small business office. And each one of the services within DoD, really, they're executing DoD's Mentor Protege program. And then SBA has their own, as Mr. Lambert mentioned, that is now really official because they did a pilot for several years where it's an all small. And so that I think that is run out of the Office of Contracting and the 8A folks, because I think Donna Peebles has the lead for Dr. Donna Peebles has the lead for Mentor Protege on the SBA side of the house. But you can find that at SBA.gov. Like you can find the DoD one at the Department of Defense small business website. Okay. Please.
You muted, James.
Can you hear me
There
now?
you go.
So the DoD Mentor Protege, what I was saying is Mr. Lambert made a comment about a marriage, and he also made a comment about if you already providing or acting as a sub to a major prime, that could be your first entrance into inquiring about them being your mentor. With the DoD Mentor Protege program, it has changed somewhat. Now, what they do is they come up with a specific requirement, and they ask companies to submit a white paper. And from that white paper, they review it, and if it's a product that the Army is interested in, then they down select to see who would be granted into the Mentor Protege program. Unlike the past where you come into the Mentor Protege team and with your mentor and your protege and you sign an agreement and you move forward, it has changed a little bit. But first and foremost, you need to find someone that you have trust and confidence in to move forward. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks very much, James. Any other questions? We got about 6 minutes left.
Thank you. We do have one more question from Ebony Barnes again. It says, how do you go about hiring the right talent to execute requirements on your client organization contracts?
Is she asking all of us, or?
I believe that's directed to you, Mr. Lambert, or to you, Mr. Brown.
Okay. Well, number one, when you get that requirement, you have to first understand what you had just gotten yourself into. When you receive that requirement and award, when you receive that award, make sure, first and foremost, that you understand your bid, okay? Because you apparently told them in that bid how you're going to hire those people. So if you have put yourself out there and say you're going to do A, B, C, and D, and you then get the award and you can't do A and B to get to C and D, you just put yourself in a bind with the United States government and the contracting organization. So from there, you really need to find someone either in your organization quickly that can read what you submitted and then help you to get on track. That has happened a number of times where, corps that we know, far as what I know, I work with the Army at Fort Belvoir, for instance, and they would ask me to support that small business in getting them on track. So when you got that requirement, you have to have that relationship. Number one, when you go in to sit down for your kickoff, and if you must be able to go forward and explaining yourself how you're going to do those things. And then if that core likes you, that core going to help you, because that's your reporting channel. But if you go in there and they say, hey, you got the contract, you figure it out. They're going to give you a small window and you're going to have to go hire those people. So meeting your requirements, it must be that you wrote that proposal and you put those steps in order how you're going to do things. Because after that, after you win, if you don't have a team to support you and you're by yourself, you could be in a world of hurt.
That's great advice, because what I would say, and at one time in my life, I was a warranted contracting officer many years ago. Look, winning the contract is the emphasis become, I want to get a contract. Winning the contract is one thing, but it's really not about winning the contract. For me, it's two things. It's number one, understanding the requirement of what you go after, what you're going after. And then when you win, it's execution. And execution starts, well, as a contracting officer concerned, right away. Now, by the way, we all know that you're not getting any money up front. So Marks Inc. should have already thought about how I'm going to pay the first set of bills before I get that money from the invoice that I drop. But A lot of times folks are not thinking through that. And now all of a sudden you got told today that you're the winner, and you got to start in 30 days, but you got to find capital, right? Because you got to be able to pay payroll. All those things need to be thought through, and especially in government contracting, because while they may shake your hand and smile when you're at the table that you're the winner, when it comes time to execution, contracting officers become hatchet people, right? Because when you're going to do my requirement, if not, now we're talking about default, and in the good name that you had, now you no longer have. So those are things to think through. I want to a couple of things before I close. Number one, Claudia will put our website in the chat. If you're interested in learning more about the business center or a business center that's near you, because we know we got people on here that are across the United States, we can put you in touch with our colleagues. But you can go to mbda.gov, and under the tab for centers and projects, all 50 business centers are listed there with the points of contact and phone numbers and their websites. We actually have 50 business centers, 41 focus on local, county, state, and federal level portfolios. 4 of the 9 specialty centers that make up the 50, 4 of those centers are export focused centers. There's an export center in Miami, an export center in San Antonio focused on the Caribbean, on the Central and South America, an export center in Arizona focused on the Pacific, and one in Houston focused on Africa. And there are 4 advanced manufacturing centers, University of Connecticut, University of Louisville, Baltimore, run by my colleague N. Scott Phillips, and then one in San Antonio. And then the final specialty center is the Federal Procurement Center, which focuses solely on the federal government. So the help is there. 99% of that help is free. Some centers are authorized to have to charge program costs if they wish, but most of my colleagues that I know, the consultation on technical assistance does not cost you any money. I tell people you already paid for it. It's taxpayer dollars, because we're funded by a grant from the Department of Commerce. How do they get that grant? Appropriated funds. How do you get appropriated funds? Everybody that's working throws a little bit in, right? So and we can talk to you more about that. But on behalf of the Capital and major program that just came out from MBDA is called the Capital Readiness Program. Is again for technical assistance, because Congress did not put in law for MBDA to be able to provide funding, but working with Treasury, we provide professional technical assistance, and the Capital Readiness Program is to help companies get increase their financial literacy on learning how to get access to capital. Because we know there are a lot of barriers to access to capital, but one of the barriers that we find is that Tommy Marks cannot talk to his profit and loss statement when I'm trying to get that money from Banker Lambert. And he's trying to figure out, well, how much risk I'm going to take, but you can't even tell me about your profit. Clearly tell me about your profit and loss statement. So this training is going to be done starting in springtime with us. We were one of 43 recipients, and my colleague Sonia Bigelow Smith is the lead on that. So look out for that coming your way. And we're doing that training across the DMV. And if you're not from the DMV, which is Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia down to Fredericksburg, there are recipients that are covering the rest of the United States, and we can put you in touch with who those are. So again, thanks for tuning in, and enjoy Veterans Day for all the veterans and the veterans' families. And Thanksgiving is around the